Welcome to another episode with Circular de CISO. And before I introduce my special guest today, specifically by name, I would like to say this gentleman has served in ISC2 board. He's been a board member, a director, a board secretary, and also been a succession planning committee chair. He's also worked with big brands, global brands, to name a few: PwC, Boston Consulting, and he has worked in several continents. And right now, he keeps shuttling between two cities, or two countries, I would say, Qatar and UAE. So he is none other Guy Ngambeket. I hope I got your name right. Right, with a lot of, because it was my pleasure to dine with you when we met in Delhi,
Yes.
right? And we were seated right next to each other, and we did have quite a lot of laughter around the table, especially with his name, how it is being pronounced. When somebody reads it, GUI, would assume it's Guy, but it is pronounced as Key. And this conversation in Delhi, we were referring to ghee as in a byproduct of the dairy, right? So
Yes.
this thing, right? So we had a lot of laughter at his cost, right?
Yes.
The reason I'm saying this is he's actively been involved with the members across the globe. He's worked with several chapters, and I personally seen him interacting with members, trying to understand what they are doing and what IC2 could do. And right now, he's running for re-election. So, Guy, it's my pleasure to host you today to have this conversation. So, this conversation is going to be a hybrid where you would also use this platform to convey your aspirations and tell the membership as to what you would do to the IC2 membership and the wider ecosystem, the society as a whole. And also, we would talk about what the industry is going through right now. Gay. So, as we start, right, you spent 17 years across four continents. That's what I could count in cybersecurity. And what's interesting about you is you've been holding various finance and strategic roles. So when I look at your biodata or CV, you did not start in cyber. You started somewhere else. So what attracted you to this field?
Thank you. Thank you, Sujit. First of all, before starting, I want to again thank you. Not only now, but also, as you remember in Delhi, our conversation and the continuous engagement, even that you, Sujit, has for membership and for ISC2. This is something important also to say. Currently, as you said, I live between Qatar and UAE. I work at FTI Consulting, which is a global consultancy. What brought me into cyber? So when I started, I did a training in computer science engineering. So when I started, actually, I was a developer. I started developing. Then I got attracted by PwC. They wanted people in doing some sort of consulting, digital, and also related to the cybersecurity, because there were some controls that were related to cybersecurity. And this is how I came to start working in cyber, despite the fact that I did study a bit of cyber at school, but then I never practiced it in reality. So I came and I started to work for PwC. I worked mainly across Africa at PwC. And then I moved to France, continued doing that work to the UK, and also in the UK, this is where I started a bit to work also outside of consulting. I did a bit of PepsiCo, I did Kraft Heinz, but still I like consulting because of the diversity of things that you can do, the diversity of people you can meet. So I was working in across not only cyber, of course, but data, anything related to advanced data analytics, digital technology, etc., business processes. Then after that, I decided to join Boston Consulting Group after my MBA at London Business School. Then I joined the firm doing strategy consulting as well as cybersecurity on the side. Then I came to the Middle East to Kearney, doing also digital work now at FTI Consulting, where I do strategy and transformation, but also cybersecurity. Cybersecurity for me, it started as a career almost by hazard, and today it has been a passion for me. So I decided to stay in the field because, you know, what I discovered with data, dealing with strategy, dealing with all other fields is sometimes we neglect the cybersecurity, the one element that can actually like kill a company, because your data, your information are not secure enough. It can destroy the value that you are trying to create. And as I progress through the rank and through my job, I fully understood that cybersecurity is a business enabler. And this is why I wanted to stay in the field. It became a passion. I got certified, multiple certification, and I also joined ISC2 on the board of director, where I proudly served for the last 3 years in the board, making sure that we continue to increase value for our members.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw your involvement in several locations. And I must also tell the audience, this man is a happy husband. So that means he has a happy wife, happy children, and a happy father. The reason I say this is you have work life, and when you're involved with ISC2, you're involved with a broader family, a community of professionals, which requires a lot of time commitment. Now, you served your first term, and now you're considering re-election. That's very rare. So what did your first mandate teach you that you simply couldn't have learned anywhere else?
So thank you for the question. That's actually important. You know, I have been in a position where I advise a lot of companies, and I advise a lot of senior individual boards, etc. I have been doing that. However, being on the other side of the equation was something new for me. Okay, sitting in that board and have to take strategic decision to drive an organization of more than 200,000 members. It has been something difficult. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of focus, because when you understand the level, and you are right to have made the parallel with family. So when you become a father, you understand the scale of responsibility that you have on a kid. This is the same sentiment that I got when I entered the first time the boardroom. I saw everything that was going on. First time, of course, I was a bit lost, because you need to learn very fast what happened in the organization in the last 5 to 10 years. You have to learn quickly.
Absolutely.
But also I felt the sense of responsibility towards all the membership. If I am sitting in that room, I need to make sure to create the value. Then the second point is you start discovering, most importantly, things behind the scenes. There are things that as a member you don't see. There are things that you don't know. How the decisions are made, why the decisions are made, what are the limitations. We sometimes believe that we can just shift, we can be agile as much as we want, but then you discover multiple things, right? And for me, that sense of responsibility toward the membership, toward the other board members sitting in the room, because what you need to also know, you are senior, you have sit in some board, it's a lot of work. And if you do not contribute, others have to contribute on your behalf. They have to take a part of the work that you are not taking. So you need also to be responsible and take that part of work. So that level sense of responsibility toward board colleagues, toward the members, is something that I took to the highest degree. Now, that has translated me into understanding, as you mentioned, going to see members, talking to them, trying as much as I can through my decision, through my vote, through my insight, to represent the membership, to make sure we keep creating value and members that are loyal to this organization and this association find the real value that they are looking for, and most importantly, we continue to keep this world safe and secure.
Absolutely. So I just want to give the audience a context, what it means to serve in the board. The board members are expected to commit a minimum of 300 to 400 hours a year. And that's not easy take, right? You have professional commitment, you have family commitments, commitments towards your kid, your wife, and then meeting every member's needs, right? So being there for everyone. And I must salute not just you, Guy, but all the board members who have served and who continue to serve, right? So that's what INS is all about, and that's what has brought us to this juncture. Because I see that in close quarters, because I serve in various committees, it gives me that opportunity also to understand what really happens behind the scenes, right? In your own words, right? I'm just taking this conversation forward because you are a person who, I mean, when I saw that in Delhi, right? I mean, Delhi, we had members from the Delhi chapter, the Mumbai chapter, the Hyderabad chapter, the Colombo chapter, and then there were people who were meeting with you from other chapters in other places as well. And the talk these days have always been revolving around one simple word, AI, right? And it has reshaped our lives. It is reshaping cybersecurity, right? So I would like to hear from you, what does that mean practically for ISC2 members, and how should the association respond, especially from a threat detection and actual skills professionals like me and my peers need to have?
That's actually a $1 million question, which is also applicable to multiple industries, multiple jobs. I think for cyber specifically, it is an opportunity and also a risk. An opportunity because, of course, it facilitates the work that we are doing. And if we remember why we are doing this job, we are doing also this job to ensure that people and other assets are safe and secure. And AI, while creating the risk and enhancing the capabilities of threat actors, it also gives the opportunity to cyber professionals on the defensive side to better protect organization and people. Okay, so I see this as a risk and opportunity. Now, each individual should just understand that the old world as it stands today is gone, and everyone needs to upskill himself to integrate AI into his work. Of course, doing the right thing with the right governance in place, etc., but needs to integrate AI into his work and make sure to get upskilled to understand how AI will actually facilitate. I don't believe that AI will replace everyone. This is not, I don't believe that it will do. AI will be beneficial for those who want to take AI to the next level and make sure they become better professionals. Now, what the association should do, actually the association is working towards integrating AI in everything, in the certification, in the common bodies of knowledge. It has been already done, but we continue doing so. I don't know if the answer will come from another certification or not, I don't know if the answer will come from that, but most importantly, I think um, there's a work that the association was doing, which is the advocacy work. Make sure that we are represented at the highest level, and we keep advocating also for the profession, so that people don't believe that because there is an AI tool, all the professions will just get down and being replaced by AI, by Fable 5 or by Mythos or whatever. No, they need to understand how cyber professional can get top skill and continue contributing to the society, to the betterment of society and organization, as they have done in the past couple of years. So I think this is also a role that every member and the associations will push, to be on the side of the opportunity rather than the side of the risk.
Absolutely. Opportunity, what drives us? Opportunity is what motivates us to pursue greater things. And that leads us to another interesting segment. I mean, this is a conversation I had just before I started this conversation with you. We were doing a recording on cybersecurity careers, right? And one of the questions I asked in that episode, I'm going to ask you again, right? We talk about gaps. Some people say it's a job gap. Some people say it's a skill gap. And we, in our ecosystem, we talk about a cybersecurity workforce gap, and we keep saying it is growing. And we also see various educational institutions also manufacturing students and sending to the market. People come with various degrees, various certification. My question to you is, everybody is talking and talking a lot. Where do you think the profession is getting it wrong, and what would you do differently?
You mean in terms of the assessing to understanding the gaps, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because everybody is talking about a gap, right? So we also have our reports coming out every year in terms of a workforce gap.
I think one thing, when the last report, I think the last report and the report before last came out, there has been a lot of questioning and a lot of frustration. People were saying, you are saying the gap is 5 million. Still, we are not finding those opportunities. Where is the gap? Where is that
Absolutely.
gap happening?
Exactly.
Actually, it's because it wasn't explained as the explanation wasn't clear for people. The gap was, at that time, if companies were to invest as they should in cybersecurity, the gap would have been 5 million. Meaning companies are not investing enough today, but if they were to invest at the level they should on cyber, the gap would have been 5 million. I think that's a message that we as the association, the association failed to convey properly. I think because we got a lot of backlash on that number, but that number was actually computed as I just explained. Now, that gap, even with what I explained, will become smaller just because AI will be taking a lot of heavy loads, okay? And we will have to review the way the work and the work that we are doing every day changes, right? We need to understand the changes, and we cannot just block the evolution and progress. So we have to adapt. That gap, whether or not we're talking about the workforce or we are talking about the skills, will then decrease. However, those who will win, let's not maybe focus on the gap that much, but how to remain relevant and how to win there. I think those who will win are those who will, first of all, combine leadership, behavioral, with the technical skill. What I found a bit disturbing is cybersecurity professional, and I discovered that even before joining ISC2, cybersecurity professionals are really great technically, but when it comes sometimes to leadership and other soft skills, this is where there's a gap. So the other gap, let's not think about only the gap in cyber, let's think about the other gap. And then it comes to another point also, the connection, the network that you have, how do you network, how do you show yourself out to the market will also ultimately make the difference between cyber professional. I encourage everyone to start looking at other skills to complement their technical cyber skills, to also look at how to build a powerful network around them, how to showcase their skills so that they are known on the market and inside their organization. And the soft skills, if I come back to that I am talking about, will actually help them communicating better with the business they serve to increase the investment in cyber. I can tell you that I have tried and worked with a lot of CISO to help them securing their budget, to define their plan. The conversation sometimes that I see is technical, and when you bring that to leadership, they don't just understand what you are saying, and they see cybersecurity as a cost, as a reason, so they don't invest. I think that it will help if you cyber professionals start also looking at the other gap, which is even more important in terms of skills, in terms of soft skills, leadership, etc., to build that, including even problem solving, to build all of that package, and it will help organization better taking the message of cyber and invest rightfully, and that will be more useful to the profession as we continue, as we go and we enter the AI and quantum era.
Absolutely. So I have a view on this, right? So my view is gaps are in multiple places. Like it could be a skill gap, it could be an understanding gap. And within the organization, it is that understanding gap which gets rebranded. Let's say we need somebody who understands risk and adoption of new tools. They probably would get somebody who is already in the organization with no skills whatsoever, but gets designated as an officer in that field. Right. I mean, I'll give you a crude example, somebody who's a specialist in software development, but there is a need to have a CISO in the organization. Now this person gets promoted as the CISO. So his lens, everything is around software. Nothing else. And that is also causing a lot of friction in the industry, right? Just to add to your view.
Yeah, and you're right. I remember when we were supposed to have even the board meeting in Delhi, because India is a key market for ISITO. We received an email from one of the members in the Indian community, highlighting exactly the problem that you're highlighting now. I think it's a matter of education, and this is why over the last 3 years, ISC2 has done a lot as an organization on the advocacy side. Okay,
Excellent.
So you are 100% right. The understanding, the awareness of people towards cyber, I think for a long time, cyber professionals have stayed into second level roles of securing the asset, etc., without necessarily going to the top level and making their voice heard. Things are changing though, because when you see the way the world is evolving with nations that are now threat actors and large-scale cyber attacks, people, government and business leaders understand that cyber warfare is real, right? It is a real thing. It's not some cybersecurity professional or consultant trying to tell them something for them to invest. It's real. So things are changing. If you see even in Saudi Arabia, they started to force companies to have cyber professionals in boards of companies. So it is changing, and now you have a lot of accreditation, a lot of things that are coming. This is changing. It takes time, but with that change that's happening on the market, combined with the advocacy work that IS2 is doing, plus the fact that what I just said, cyber professional getting more and more those skills, critical thinking, leadership skills on top of their cyber skills. The combination of that will create a bright future for cyber professional. We need to keep doing it, and we will then avoid. I never seen a situation where you have a financial department and you will bring someone who is doing IT or commercial to be the chief financial officer. It doesn't make sense. It
Yes,
doesn't make
spot on.
sense because it's well understood and people understand that it cannot fly. On
Absolutely.
cyber, you are 100% right. I have seen I have seen a lot of things. I am telling. I was fortunate a lot to have worked almost with 100 organizations. I have seen things that are even more frustrating than what you described. IT, you describe software developer, is, let's say, close to technology. There are people that have nothing to do with it. They don't even understand cyber, but they are put at CISO. So, but things are changing, and we need to keep driving that agenda so that next generation of people coming into the field see other people from the field being CISO and ultimately even taking other position within businesses.
Absolutely. And I just want to highlight to the audience, which you mentioned in a very subtle way, but I want to highlight. While the cybersecurity professionals need to be technical competent, they need to have good communication. You did mention about it. You also mentioned about the ability to analyze, reason, and solve problems.
Yes.
These are three key traits which we as I community advocate all the time.
Yes.
While we profess that you need to have the technical competency, but having competency on technical aspects is not enough if you do not have these three other ingredients. That
Exactly.
leads us to a very interesting part of the conversation. You mentioned about the cyber warfare. It's happening. It's happening even as we speak. Right? Some people know that they are impacted. Some people are ignorant, and ignorant is bliss. And we are also distracted with so many other activities. For example, for me, AI is a good distractor for everyone. Every organization is currently distracted. Let's talk about quantum. How many people are talking about quantum computing? Right? Now you have the power of computing, power of AI on one side, and you are not upgrading your security at that level, right? So I want to hear your view. How should cybersecurity professionals be thinking about it today, not in 5 years?
Okay, that precision that you made at the end, not in 5 years, actually is key. It's key because there is something which is called the quantum panic. And that quantum panic may happen exactly in 5 years. Okay? So, there are few people, or let's say few organizations and states that are preparing the post-quantum transition. I have seen some here in the Middle East where I sit. There are serious conversation about post-quantum transitions. Okay, it is some are thinking about there, but when you speak to other organization or people involved in national cybersecurity planning, they don't think about it. It is extremely dangerous because progress are being made. It is not yet at a point where it is at scale, but people are being, progress is being made rapidly. And every day there are new discoveries. We might end up having soon a lot of computer at risk. They are already, but because the infrastructure, quantum infrastructure, is not yet at scale, so for now it's contained within certain actors. So this is why people don't even see the danger that represent. Then when they will start seeing it, this is where the quantum panic will arise. And if there is a quantum panic, there are bad decisions that can be taken. you are mentioning AI as a distractor. We may have another distractor which will be quantum. And at that time, when it starts to be a panic mode and a distractor, you have good people that are coming and telling you things, and you also have bad people or people that don't know and just want to make money coming into the field and discuss. So people are starting to think about, not as much as I hoped. NIST, for instance, they already issued something on post-quantum transition. I know that Singapore is doing something. In the Middle East, as I told you, they are doing things. And cyber professionals now need to start understanding what quantum is, get ready and get prepared for that transition, being part of that transition, because you don't want to be outdated. Your skills, you want to prepare. It's a tough topic. It's not an easy topic. So better you start learning now, getting prepared, so that in the 2-3 years, 2-3 coming year, when it starts to mature a bit and the transformation start actually happening, that you are part of those transformations. It is important. Otherwise, there will be, this niche will be confiscated by those who actually know a lot on that topic, but there are not a lot of people in the world. Like, if you see 30,000 people globally actually really know profoundly what quantum is. And on the other side, as it happens every time, you will see a bunch of people that will come and claim to do cyber quantum transition without actually delivering result. And in the middle, you will have a bunch of cyber professionals who didn't upskill themselves to be able to fill the gap that will be created in a couple of years.
Absolutely. You're creating a lot of tensions, right? We have uncertainties, we have conflicts, we have cyber war, we have, nation conflicts, right? So there's a lot of tension around. And that tension also exists within organizations. Tension between people. And this tension between people arises between compliance-driven security and genuine risk management, so to say, right? You have advised in various organizations, right? And you also said that you had the privilege of, working with more than 100 organizations. And I'm sure you interacted with the highest levels with them. How do you personally bridge that gap? The gap between compliance-driven security and genuine risk management. And you can circle back to the previous quantum conversation and maybe address this.
So yes, no, that's actually a very valid and actual question. I mean, what I always say, one of my key recommendations I always have in my report is stay away from what I call the compliance mindset. Okay? Compliance mindset is, yes, there is something, I am compliant with that. When you are complying with something, you are just trying to protect yourself and your organization from a potential penalty, which is also fair. You need to do that. However, the compliance must be a consequence of proper risk management rather than the strategy. So when you have proper risk management and you think about your cyber strategy from a risk management perspective, first of all, it is very easy to explain why you need a certain investment on cyber. But I will say, before continuing that, the compliance mindset also came as a reactive and defensive mechanism. To give you a bit of story around this, companies were not investing in cyber, a lot of companies, right? Now, because the regulator were understanding the risk that could come, especially in banking or telco industries, they started putting, compliance and regulation and compliance requirement. The way for CISOs to get investment was to talk to the CEO and say, if you do not comply with this, this, and this, you will lose money and our business can be closed. this was sometimes the only way for companies for CISOs to get investment in cyber. And it became a trend, it fossilized in the habit of cybersecurity teams. Now some are pushing for compliance. But again, it's the wrong angle to vantage point to tackle cyber. We should think about the cyber strategy, risk-driven cyber strategy. Define how we tackle the risk with the risk appetite and so on, and ultimately from that point see how that fit the compliance and eventually adjust costs to make sure that we remain compliant. Because what I just say doesn't mean we should not be compliant. We must remain compliant, but then we have that adjustment to be made. Risk-driven strategies are well understood in boardroom today, better understood than only compliance. When you talk about compliance, it is reactive, it's not business enabler. But when you talk about risk management and cyber as a business enabler, it is a better conversation with board. And then on top of that, you can add compliance. And I can tell you that that combination is extremely powerful.
Absolutely, Guy. Right. Thank you so much, Guy. I mean, that brings us to the end of episode 1, where we spoke about the profession, the AI. We also spoke briefly about the quantum side of things and the widening gap, where we brought in a lot more clarity in terms of what actually in essence when we say a gap. So audience, we'd invite you to stay tuned. This is the first episode as part of a 2-part series. The next episode would be Inside the Boardroom and what comes next. So Guy, once again, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thank you very much to you. See you.
Right. And this message is for the audience. Guy Ngambeket, a former board member of ISC2, is running for re-election. So those of you are listening to this, I would encourage you to look out for his next conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.